has ever been in 4-H before? Has any of you that have been in 4-H, have you ever put together a 4-H record book? Okay, awesome. So I'm just going to give like a very, very short, this is mine from back in the day, but I'm just going to give a very short review over really what the 4-H record book is and why it's so important. So a little bit of background, there are 26 4-H projects, and essentially a 4-H member will choose a main 4-H project to focus on, and everything that they do, they'll be working on that project for this record book. So I'm just going to go over the main sections. Like I said, this is mine from back in the day, so this is the easiest way to do it. But you can see on your handout I listed the main parts. So back in the day when they designed a format for this record book, they decided that a well-rounded 4-H'er would be, they'd have citizenship skills, leadership skills, and they would be knowledgeable in their subject matter. So that's the first 3 sections, which is the bulk of your record book. So you have section A, which is your project profile. My project was personal development, so mine was kind of complicated and all over the place. But if you were, let's say, in the beef project, this is where you put where you were like on livestock judging teams, or where you were showing your beef cows, that kind of thing. Or if you did a public speaking, a 4-H speech and beef, that's where that would go. So the next main section is section B, which is your leadership profile. This is where if you had an office, if you're an officer in your club or in the region or on the state level, this is where that would go. Or if you did some leadership on a judging team, if you went to camp as a team leader, it kind of breaks it down on the next page as far as just kind of, yeah, with individual 4-H members, your experiences at camp, that kind of stuff. And then section C is the next big section, which is your citizenship. It's broken up into 4 main parts. The first part is citizenship related specifically to your project. The next part is government things. You can see where I visited the Capitol building and stuff like that. So it's not always necessarily just like service projects, but also being knowledgeable about your citizenship and being knowledgeable about the government and about global studies and stuff like that. So you can see the next part is global. And then the last part, this is where, there you go. The last part is family, friends, and community. So that's where you put your service. You can, this isn't necessarily just 4-H here either. This is where, like, if you were also an FFA or really involved in your youth group at church, you could put some of those service projects there too. And then the next big part is your project plan. And I think this is really important because there's 2 parts to it. There's thinking ahead, and then there is, if I can find it, looking back. So ideally, a year in advance, when you pick out your project and decide you're going to put together your record book, you fill this out before you do anything else. And you come up with your goals. You set goals for yourself, what you want to do in your project, what you want to learn, and resources and whatnot that you're going to use to accomplish those goals. So when you come back and you actually put your record book together, you look back at the year that you just spent in 4-H, and you decide, you know, what did I learn? Did I meet my goals? So basically, you're doing an evaluation of yourself and how you're doing in your project, of your 4-H career, and how you can improve. And you're supposed to do this every year, so I think it's really important. And then I had some other stuff in there listed like on the sheet. You have project records. You know, I said I did personal development, so I have some leadership stuff in here. My 4-H speech from 2008, and a 4-H narrative that just tells my 4-H story, and a resume. Okay, and then I'll go ahead and show you this just to show you. You're allowed 3 pages of project pictures in your record book. So there is me from high school. yeah. I was in marching band. So moving on, skills. I put some skills on your worksheet. And does anybody know, like, when you think without maybe looking at your sheet, what kind of skills you think you would learn from putting together a record book? I kind of went over some of them.
How to write a resume.
Yes, how to write a resume. I kind of touched on that a little bit because I showed you mine. But really what happens when you put together a record book, you, like I said, you focus on one project for the record book. And then you submit your record book in. They will select 12 state finalists, 6 in each level. And the level is level 1, 9th and 10th grade, and level 2 is 11th and 12th grade. So they select 6 of each, 12 total for a project, which they receive a free trip to Roundup, and then they compete at Roundup for college scholarships. I have this listed here too. They compete for college scholarships and for the Silver Bowl, that's what it looks like, and the Iowa League medallion. If you're in 11th and 12th grade and you win, you actually get to go to National 4-H Congress, which is kind of the like epitome of 4-H. It's what you're working for, is to go to National 4-H Congress. You can only go to National 4-H Congress once, and you can only go if you win. So it's very special if you get to go. But yeah, skills that you learn, obviously you learn record keeping, you learn organization, responsibility, and commitment is a big one because like I said, you're supposed to kind of start thinking about this like a year in advance. You know, it's not something that you can do just the night before it's due. You have to like think about things that you're going to do. So you pick a project and you literally think like for an entire year, like, oh, I could do this for my project. You know, so if you're in like food science or nutrition, you might want to do the outdoor meat cookery contest. You might want to do meat ID. You might want to like run some 5Ks or stuff like that. But so that's all stuff that you have to think about in advance. You can't just decide, oh, I should have done that last year. So also, like she said, you have to do a resume for your portfolio. So it's a good resume. Interviewing. If you're state finalist, you have to go through an interview process. So it's good interview skills. In 9th and 10th grade, they have to have a visual aid for that interview. So if you go through all 4 years, you're picking up multiple skills. Yeah, that's pretty much most of the skills. Can anyone think of anything else that I might have missed? Does anyone have any questions? I kind of went through it really fast. It's actually a lot more complicated than it.
Did you go to 4-H Congress?
Yeah, I did. I went to National 4-H Congress. I actually have 2 Silver Bowls, one for public speaking in 2008 and one for my state project winner, and I got the wrong one this morning, but they look exactly the same.
So you can only go to National Congress once?
Yes.
So what if you win one project your freshman year, but you win another project your senior year?
That's a good question. The way it works, you can only win a project once, 11th and 12th grade. So it's kind of complicated the way it works, but you can compete at least 3 times total if you win, and 4 times total if you don't win. So basically, your freshman and sophomore year, you can compete. If you win your freshman year, you can compete your sophomore year, but you have to compete in a different project because you can only, in each level, you can only win a project once.
Okay.
But then it resets your 11th grade year. You can come back and compete again in that same project that you might have won.
Okay.
But if you win your 11th grade year, you can't compete your 12th grade year because you win that trip to National Congress.
Okay.
So, and also, you don't have to have just one 4-H project. You just have to have one 4-H project in a single record book. So some people, especially people who have a whole lot of time, they will literally put together like 5 record books. I don't know how they pull that off, but they will. So. And just because your like main project is like a certain project doesn't mean that you can't like do outdoor cookery, even though your main project is like photography or something like that. You can do anything you want, but.
How many people attend National 4-H Congress every year? Do you know?
I don't know the exact number. From Tennessee, there should be, ideally there would be 26, but there's a few projects where they pick 2 state winners. So there's roughly like 30, I think, that go from Tennessee every year. But every state is represented, and Puerto Rico is represented, and oddly enough, Canada. So it's not really, yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. But the thing about National Congress is that each state kind of has their own rules on who they send there. So for us, you know, it's a little more special for us because we have to win to go. And other people, they may just pay to go. But it's in Atlanta, and it's like literally like the day after Thanksgiving. So they take us to the Ritz-Carlton and give us breakfast. It's really fancy. That's what everybody looks forward to. If you ask anybody what they like about National 4-H Congress, most of them will say, we went and ate breakfast at the Ritz-Carlton. So, any other questions?
Good job.